Hi guys, this is a final verdict review for the game Dying Light. Now I've already made an early impressions, a first impressions video, one basically that I made after 30 hours of gameplay, and I will leave a link to it here. You should go and watch that, because in fact my final verdict is pretty much everything I said in that video still stands. Nothing much changed. I went to a whole new area, so I'd only done half the game city, the game world at that point, and I went to a new area and it was really nice. It was, again, a lot of fun to parkour around, a little less closely packed in places, a lot more luxurious, but just as much fun to be jumping around. It really did look nice, sounded nice, everything was just as it was in the first city, only better. Yeah, and by better I do mean richer, cleaner. It was obviously the nicer part of town. Now, unfortunately, the major criticisms I had towards the game are also still valid, and in fact more so. The first thing is, the game is very easy. I did say it was a little easy, even early on. By the middle of the game it was getting very easy. By the end of the game you pretty much don't have to worry about anything. You can stroll through the streets killing absolutely everything. The toughest gigantic zombies, you can kill them very easily. The zombies that used to scare you at night time, the volatiles, no problem, you can take them on. And that's if you even have to. You can pretty much stroll around the city at night untouched if you've got the right skills, if you use them well, if you use even a slight amount of effort, you can pretty much wander around unchallenged and unhindered, and even if you do get challenged, totally dispatch anything that gets in your way. And the second criticism I had was that the story was a bit meh. It just sort of annoyed me, and it was very, very on rails. That side of things continues and gets slightly worse. There are a few sort of scripted event type fights, or mostly running aways. I don't know if that's a word now, you know, where you have to parkour away and escape. And they're very, well, to be honest with you, very often they feel a little fake. Some of the fights you have, you know, they remove all of your equipment, so you have to fight with a wooden stick and a spike. They disable your grapple hook conveniently at any of these major points, so you can't do any of the maneuvers you're used to, so you have to go back to basics. And it just feels a little tacked on. It really does. I can't explain it any better than that. You kind of feel like the story is there to justify you running around the town having tons of fun. And I will tell you, the end fight is horrible. It's utterly horrible. It's one of these, people call them QTE, quick time event. It really is. You're listening to the bad guy's monologue and you press a button when it flashes up on your screen, but you don't have a lot of time to do so. And so you have to really concentrate on the button press, to the point where you're not looking at the bad guy while he's talking, you're not listening to what he's saying, you just concentrate on getting these buttons, because if you don't, it resets and you have to listen to the conversation again. Not always all the conversation, but several lines of it. And, you know, but the third or fourth time you've heard him say these lines in the last minute and a half, it drives you nuts. So you end up just focusing on the arrow keys that pop up and making sure you press them, and then you finally get the one that does it, and then you go, alright, cool, I've got it. Now, what did he say? Did he say anything important? I'm not sure. It's horrible. I would have preferred a cutscene at that point. It was worse than Shadow of Mordor, because it wasn't even easy. It wasn't even like you had tons of time to press the buttons so you could just sort of relax and concentrate on the dialogue. You had to focus on pressing the buttons fast enough that you pretty much just ignored him, and it just became annoying. Plus, you kind of know once it's over, you're going to reload a previous save, which kind of tells you that it almost doesn't matter what you do in there. So there's this sort of side of you thinking, well, this is frustrating, why don't I just quit go back to the previous save and skip the ending completely and just wander around the city doing all the things I've been doing, which are a lot of fun. So yeah, not a fan of the ending at all. However, I'm still recommending this game because, as I said in the other video, the story isn't why I played this. I played it because it was a huge amount of fun to be running around this city, parkouring and killing zombies, and it never stopped being fun. Even when it got easy, it was still kind of fun. Well, no, it was still fun. It would have been more fun had it been more difficult, and I have now realised you unlock a more difficult mode. I can now replay the game in a more difficult mode, but with all of my character progression unlocked. I don't know what that's going to mean because I've unlocked pretty much everything except the agility tree, which I have at level 21. So I will have to see. But like I said, the game is easy, the ending is not good, but I'm still glad I played the game, and I've got about 60 hours in game now, which is pretty good. It's between 50 and 60 hours, and I've enjoyed almost all of it. I've enjoyed almost all of it, so that's money well spent in a way, if you forgive the ending. So that's it. That is my final verdict. This is still a good game. This is still a game I would recommend, as long as you go in knowing that the story might irritate you a little and the ending probably will irritate the hell out of you. Unless you love QTE events. I mean, if you like that type of thing, you may even love the ending. So hey, that would be a win as well, I suppose. I am now going to start playing around with mods and see if I can actually make the game insanely difficult, because it would be kind of cool to try and do this again where I was constantly running in abject fear. So, if I try them out and they look to be working and cool and fun, I will of course let you guys know all about it. So, thanks for listening.